Okay, you've got your text editor installed and you've figured out how to make it work in plain text mode. So here's what I want you to do. Write hello world in your document, and you can expand on this later. Don't try and enter any code right now, just write plain text. Write hello world, and now do save as. If you've already saved it, save it in a different place. So save it as your file name, pick a file name. And this is important. You have to be aware of where you're saving it, because you have to be able to move this file around later. So I recommend saving it directly on your desktop, or creating, actually even better, create a folder in your desktop called Webmaking 101 Unit 1 and save it into that folder. Give it a file name you'll remember, and give it the extension .html. Now make sure that it's not appending hidden file name extensions onto it, like .txt at the end, since you're saving in plain text. Once you get this figured out, you're gonna save this. It'll be saved as your file name .html. There won't be any hidden file extensions. It won't be saved in any other format. It'll just be plain text .html. Okay. Now keep in mind where you put it. Open a browser, any browser, Safari, Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, and either use the open dialog, like File, Open, Control O, whatever your shortcut is for your operating system. Or if you have the folder open, you can just click and drag the file that you just created. I told you to remember where it was, into your browser, just into an empty new page. And the browser should, if you did it right, open just the plain text file. You've got this plain text file that's now open, displaying exactly what you wrote. It shouldn't look any different unless you wrote some crazy code. It should be just simple, plain text. And if you look in the browser address bar, you should see your file name .html, and then before that in the URL, you've got all of the location information. And you'll notice it starts with something like file, or it doesn't start with like the normal stuff. It doesn't look like a normal web URL. There's no domain, for example, because it's a local file. But we'll do something with that in a minute. So I hope you don't close your text editor as you do this. You can save it and keep it open. So here's the trick that you should always do when you're composing and editing, is have one window that is your results window and one window that is your editing window. So if you've got your plain text editor open still, put that in half of your screen and put your browser in the other half of the screen. You can look at them both at the same time. And if you haven't changed things, now go to your plain text editor and make a change. Type something new and then do save, not save as. Save it in the same place because you've already got it open. Don't close anything. Now tab over or move over to the browser and find the refresh button. A shortcut on Windows is F5. It's the little like recycly looking icon. Hit refresh and you'll see that the page updates with what you've just typed in your text editor. So this is the essence of a web page. You actually have just created a web page. It's not quite a web page because it's not on the internet. If you wanted to share this with me, you couldn't just give me a URL and then I could see it. You'd have to like send me a whole copy of the file. So it's not quite the internet, but it is a web page. It's a page that's being opened by the browser, and it's plain text. We're going to do with code later, but it's being opened by the browser in HTML format actually. So do something like hit return a couple of times, try to make a list, and then refresh it and see what happens. You'll notice that it's not quite what you expect. There's no formatting that's allowed, or try to put 6 spaces between a word. So something interesting is going on. We need to format it ourselves. We're going to do that by hand. But for now, what's important to know is you just created a web page.